The views and opinions expressed on any program are those of the producers and/or the persons appearing on the program and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of FRC Media, Bristol Community College, or the City of Fall River.
Well, hello. Welcome to Spindle City Straight Talk. I'm Chet.
And I'm CJ.
And it is Friday in the Riv, and Ellsbury Street was closed for a little while because it's optics time. Welcome to an election year. Now Paul can be anointed the champion of school safety. And so because he's the champion of everything. So we don't know what kind of optic they had this morning, but it was involved with the police department. Isn't it amazing? I've said all the time, and there is going to be a meeting about recall, which we will get to later, Monday at that appointed committee. I plan on being there because of some of the comments made on the radio by Runaway Rumsey. But isn't it amazing how all these things, they pay attention to every little detail? Governors come down, politicians, they're champions of everything in an election year. And they always want to give the politicians more power, and they also want to make their terms longer and make it more difficult to get them out of office. And isn't it amazing? So I have a counterpoint, and I know our troll is watching us, so you can come down anytime you want. And you can sit right here in the middle, and I believe Monday, I think Nelson might, if in his find time in his busy schedule, he has some things he wants to articulate here on our show, and he's always welcome.
As is anyone.
As is anyone.
That's
we
right.
always invite him. You wanna, don't eat your hot pocket in front of your computer.
That's right.
Come on down. And we can have as lively or as civil as debate as you would like, and it's not a problem. Because, but isn't it amazing? We should have an election like every year. That way they'd pay attention all the time.
Right.
Because as soon as they got in office, they'd have to start campaigning
again
for re-election.
Yep.
And all these things then they would be champions of the homeless, champions of everything all the time, instead of once every 2 years.
Well, while you're speaking of champion of the homeless, I read this morning on the daily list, the master list, which comes out and gives you the stories. And on occasion, I forward it to you.
Yeah.
Maura Healey has decided to separate housing from the Department of Housing and Urban Development in the state, as a state agency that's going to be separate, and it's going to have its own secretary.
Another job for one of her friends.
Well, wait, it gets even better.
I know it does.
And the reason why she's doing this is because there is not enough affordable housing in the state.
Oh, wait a minute.
Yeah, you get that?
She said the word?
Yes.
She didn't say it in Fall River.
I know she didn't.
Because when she was on WSAR, Paul said, don't talk about affordable housing.
Right.
Here. And she went, we need housing and we need market rate housing. And she talked about HDIP, which we all know. That means that nobody can afford it in Fall River. So she talked about everything that's anti-affordable housing in Fall River when she got to Fall River. So I guess now they had nicknames for everybody, so I guess we're going to change her name to Moron Healy. Because she's a lying hypocrite.
Well, it's
because remember, and for you out there, our little troll, you still watch us, and that's all that counts.
That's right.
And you can say anything you want, because we don't really care.
Well, what's interesting about this whole thing is that she says that it's necessary because of the shortage of available housing, which we know there's a shortage of available housing.
There's a shortage of affordable housing.
Well, that's even more so.
Yeah, we have to make that clear, because there's plenty of housing in Massachusetts.
Well, according to the state statistics, which you know, lies, damn lies, and statistics, there's only 1% availability of apartments in the state. 1% availability. But in Boston, it's 0.49%. So it's less than 0.5%.
Yeah.
And this is why we need this new division. And what happened was, under Article 87 in the state constitution, oh, imagine that, they're talking about the law.
The Constitution. There they go again.
Yep.
Constitution.
The Senate and the House must approve the division of the department, and they must do it within so many days. The Senate approved it. The House won't take it on. I wonder why.
Yeah.
I wonder why. So because they're not taking it down, and what happened was the Speaker of the House turned around and declared the House closed in recess for the rest of the weekend because it's due on the 30th. And because of that, it automatically goes into effect. Oh, it's like our 45-day rule, you know?
Yeah.
Now it automatically goes into effect on June 1st, or May 30th, I should say. So here's where we're going to be. We're going to have somebody who gets a job, obviously, politically connected, and to the creation of a new cabinet position. Remember, that's a new cabinet position.
Oh, they love to create positions.
Yes.
They love it.
And I wonder what's going to happen with that person when they come in on board and they see Fall River and they say, "Oh no, you need market rate housing." No, that's not what you were created for. You were created for affordable housing.
But by the time all this gets done, we know that the election will
be over.
And
right.
they will dance around until the election's over. And look, the 0.4 in Boston's BS. Boston is like, as bad as the rents are here, they're triple in Boston.
Right, exactly.
There is and always has been a shortage of affordable housing in Boston. Because
right.
in Boston is one of the highest rents in the country.
But so is the median capital
Yeah.
the median income.
Yeah, but that's the key. The key is they got the money.
That's right.
And you come down here, but isn't it ironic though that she couldn't say she loves that word? As I said, and this is not secondhand information. I sat in the Macris convention, the state retirees convention, and listened to her when she was campaigning for governor, and every other word out of her mouth was affordable. Affordable, 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 affordable. She comes to Fall River, crickets, can't deal with it. So what does she do? They do what the Dems do all the time, create more jobs. And that'll be a little segue into, there's been a lot of buzz about that newspaper article about the salaries, but you know what we've got to do? The horrifying amount we're paying for superintendents and principals in a school system that is 335th out of 351 cities and towns. We are overmanaged and underperforming.
That's right.
Because we are talking millions and millions of dollars in salaries to have a failing school system, and we've got the stats. As a matter of fact, Nelson, if you're out there watching, bring in that data that you presented to the school committee, please, for Monday's show if you show up, because we would love to go over it again for all our little naysayers and doubters, because we deal in facts. And if it's not a fact, we'll say it's our opinion. But it's not our opinion. It was in the Herald News, these salaries. Gigantic salaries.
Yes, huge salaries.
Almost $200,000 for a principal.
That's right.
And then we got vice principals and assistants to the assistant to the, and how many superintendents do we have? And it's like, we're paying all this money. And nobody ever says a peep. That truly is. You can do anything you want in the school department. It is truly the hermit kingdom, because you can assault children, you can harass women, you can make fun of people with disabilities, and you can discriminate against elderly people, and they cover it up. And they also do it. It's the best place in the city of Fall River to hide all these jobs.
That's right.
Nobody ever talks about this. Nobody knows about school committee. Oh, we need another assistant superintendent. Oh, yeah, we need it. Remember, Kevin, a deputy We need a deputy superintendent now. Let's get another couple of $100,000 plus benefits in a school department. It's already got 5 or 6 other superintendents and all these principals. And we're getting crap for it. 335th. We're failing in every single metric. And this is what you get. And the people, they never know what's happening in the school, because the school department has always been a bunch of bobble, worse than a council. Oh, yeah, okay, oh, another job, oh, good, because everybody that gets a job there is connected. Actually, I ran into a local real estate guy. It was really an interesting conversation, and I know him. He's lived most of his life in Florida. Has been a businessman his whole life. Was in a different business, and then now he got into retail, I don't know, 5, 6 years ago. Real estate, rather. And came over, we started talking, and I said, well, how's things? He goes, oh, man, he says, you realize, he said, for the local realtors, he said, they're making it difficult for us. These out-of-town developers are coming up here and just killing us, because now the market's beginning to drop. People can't afford these prices to buy a house, to get a mortgage. He said, we can't rent apartments out anymore because they're buying up everything and jacking up the rents. He said, it's making it difficult on people who live in the Fall River area and want to do business and help the people of Fall River. Realtors who truly care about trying to get people in Fall River a home or a decent apartment, because he said, these people come in from out of town, they don't have a clue. They come from the Boston area, they see these rents are normal. And okay, they come down here and they say, we're going to get this. And if they don't get it, he said what we always say, they're going to just leave.
That's right.
When they don't make their money, they're going to bail out. And this is going to be Detroit. So isn't that ironic that I ran into somebody, a businessman, who's not towing the party line. And he actually could say the word affordable without choking on it.
Well, it's interesting because we have several candidates for office, candidates for re-election, candidates for office for the first time, who all of a sudden are in real estate. They've gone into real estate in the past year or two because of the huge buying that was going on at such outrageous prices, because an outrageous price means high commission.
Yeah.
I'm not talking, I'm not speaking against anyone making a living, okay? But they've done this. They've done this. They've contributed to the future demise of the city of Fall River, okay? And when they post on Facebook, oh, I've got 8 closings this month, I'm so happy. I've got 12 closings this month. I'm flipping this house, I'm flipping that house. That's wonderful. They're showing that they've got the market, but guess what? Nationally, we're not showing that market. Mortgages are down, interest rates are up, housing sales are now stagnant. Housing sale prices are starting to go down.
Exactly.
Okay, so how long is it going to last in Fall River? Not for much longer. I mean, we're usually at the tail end of all of it. You know that.
Oh yeah, the skateboards took 10 years to get from California to Fall River.
Right.
It was we have a 10-year lag rule.
Right.
But do you notice what's not stopping? They're still assessing houses at the old rates. They're not stopping. They didn't put the kibosh on us and say, let's stop this whole mess, because these houses that we're now saying, well, now they're worth $400,000, are going to be worth $280,000 again.
Well, the thing is that according to Mr. Gonzalez, who's the assessor, when he spoke to the city council about this, the assessments that you see today are 2 years old. They're from 2 years ago, because based upon the way they reassess properties. So today's property value is from 2 years ago, and tomorrow's property value may be from, again, 2 years ago, and it might be higher or lower, we don't know. But I'll tell you now, people are still offering me $500,000 plus for my house.
Are you believing that horse manure from him?
No, I've got my hip boots on.
But yeah, if BS was bricks, he could build a chimney to the moon and have bricks left over. Come on. You're going to believe that? Why do we see, I got a briefcase full of people saying, my taxes went up $800, my taxes went up. Yeah, how? Taxes are going up. Taxes are going up because And then they're going to tell you that they're doing an assessment just because they have to, and and they really like you. These people that are in real estate, I flip this and I flip that. You know what they're doing to you out there? Apartment dweller, fixed income person, low income person with 2 jobs to try to pay your rent and buy some food for your kids. They're flipping you to bird. They're flipping the house and they're flipping you to bird. Because they're saying, I don't care what I do to the regular people of Fall River. Because I flipped it, I'm going to make my money, and if this thing crashes and burns later, I don't care. Because now I'm one of them. I'm one of the connected, one of the rich. I don't care. Inflation does not affect rich people. Does not affect. You wonder why? You wonder why some of these people vote the way they vote? Because they got a $179,000 job in the school department. Of course, they're going to love Paulie, and he's creating more and more as we go along. That's why the people who actually live in the real world, and you go to work at some plant or some job and make a regular paycheck and pay the inflation, and you can't just walk in there, do absolutely nothing, and they just keep giving you more and more help and more money, and you don't perform. You wonder why the United States is failing as a country? Why are we like 34th in healthcare? We have the most expensive healthcare in the world. But we're like 34th. Infant mortality, we got third world countries ahead of us.
Ahead of us,
in
yes.
Infant mortality. And don't say, well, we got the best, yeah, we do. We have some of the best hospitals in the world. But Americans never look at other places. There's some wonderful hospitals in Germany. Some of those doctors in Germany are brilliant, just like they were with their nuclear research and stuff. That, von Braun came over to us after the war. But the reality is, yeah, we got some great hospitals. But the Mass Generals and the Mayo Clinics and stuff like that, it's still the money in the system. All the other hospitals that are not quite as good, they're not. How can you pay twice what the average healthcare in the world is and not be number one in everything? That's the con that they give you, because all they keep doing is talking about, oh, I flipped the houses. They're flipping you to bird. I'm sorry, you can't do it, And so that's it. Go, the moral of that story is go out and vote in November and put a check mark next to anybody that hasn't held office before and is a new person, or somebody who's actually doing a job for you, and there's only one person so far I can look in a camera and say they're doing their job, and that's Michelle Dion. But now to get over to another little subject, Runaway Rumsey. I heard him on the radio. It just happened to. I don't listen to the radio that much. I turn on the car. Sometimes the thing's on. I forget to shut it off because I turned it off to listen to something. And I heard Rumsey talking about the Charter Commission, and I know that the Charter Commission meeting got pretty testy a few times, because the only person on that committee who really stands up for the people and has a record of that is Dan Robillard.
Right.
The man who filed a minority opinion against this disaster of a charter. And I guess...
And he was right.
And he was right.
And he was right.
And I guess 3 or 4 times he went at it with Rumsey and said, you are here to give a legal opinion on what we're talking about, not your personal opinion, which he was doing, according to Dan. And I have the video. So everybody can watch it. It's on YouTube. You can watch it and judge for yourself. But he was saying he was giving his personal opinion. But regardless of that, and I won't say irregardless like a lot of these so-called educated people do, because that's a double negative. The prefix "ir" means like not.
Right.
And so it's not regarding.
That's right.
So two negatives make a positive. So irregardless is a malapropism. It's an incorrect word. Okay, it shouldn't even exist.
You're using those big words again.
It's used a lot by people. But he went on there and talked about how, and we heard this when we ran the recall, and I plan on being in. I hope you're there Monday. We're going to give them a little educate them, okay, a little bit.
Educate them.
Yeah, educate them, yeah. Because we got Rumsey, who doesn't live in a city, I don't believe, telling us about Fall River. And he said, oh, this thing, we shouldn't have a low threshold because, every man, no matter how great a job he does, might get recalled. And it's a waste of money. And I'm going to tell you, you're going to have a heads up, runaway. I'm going to tell you fundamentally what I'm going to tell you and the rest of that committee. I shouldn't have to tell you that, and I shouldn't have to tell a few people on that committee that, because they're attorneys. And some of them are elected officials who swore an oath to the Constitution. I'm going to remind you, Mr. Rumsey, what the Commonwealth of Massachusetts' Constitution says. That elected officials and magistrates, be they legislative, judicial, or executive, are at all times answerable to the people. And you are our substitutes and agents. You don't get to do your personal thing. You are supposed to be working for the people. What greater example of abiding by the Constitution than making it easy for people to run for office, which I always got this crap about, we're elitists. We only want people who can get
300 signatures.
300 signatures to run, because otherwise they're worthless. That's not true. Some poor SOB who's working 2 jobs to make ends meet and is up to here with the crap he sees and wants to run for office may have some good ideas, but he doesn't have the time to go out and collect all those signatures. That's why I believe we should have one signature, your own. You want to run for office? Come tell the people your ideas and let the people decide, because that's what the Constitution says. And by the way, that's part of the first Article 5. Article 4 also says that we are the government.
Right.
The people, not you. Not you elitists. We are the government.
One of the things that I want people to remember to ask, okay, and I want you to ask this of every single politician who asks you for a vote, especially if they're a politician for re-election. What have you done for me lately? What have you done for me lately? My water fee went up, you voted for it. My taxes went up, you voted for it. We have more jobs that we don't need, you voted for it. What have you done for me? What have you done to save me $1? Because that should be how you decide who to vote for. Not because they turned around and fixed a pothole or fixed your sidewalk or, gave you a chow mein sandwich. What have they done for you lately? What have they done to make life easier, not only for you, but for the entire community? Because that is how a community should be judged. By what have you done for the community? What have you done for me lately?
You're right. And listen, he said it's a waste of money. Letting the people speak is a waste of money. Listen, I do not care that that's what he thinks, because he's been hired by a politician to protect the politician.
That's right.
And that's what he's doing. It's not a waste of money when you let the people of a community tell you what they want. And look, we can prove that. And I'm going to prove it. I'm going to give them some stats on our recall. We had a recall and we prevailed. First one in the history of the state.
Only one in the history of the state.
Yeah. And then they had another recall and it failed.
Yep.
They got the person recalled, but the person prevailed in the other election, in a subsequent election. And now they're trying to eliminate that because they want to get, they want to see. That's kind of don't you think that's kind of a paradox? They say they don't want you to have the ability to recall somebody, but if they get recalled, don't give them a chance to on the second ballot, because we want to get rid of them. That way, we'll allow the recalls that we want to go through, and then we'll make sure that guy can't get in again or that person can't get in again. But the reality is,
but I support that move. I support that move because that is something. You've had one bite at the apple already. They said you're gone. The people have spoken. So don't give him a second bite at the apple where he's going to possibly get back in, not because of the majority.
Well, I think that I agree they should not be able to under certain circumstances, but I believe that if they get, if they have the possibility when that recall is, if it's extremely, extremely close, it's not really a definitive example. So that's a slippery slope. I don't believe they should. They did get their bite of the apple. But then again, that's just a minutia. I probably, if I had to pick one, I'd say don't let them run again, because then you're going to have to say what percentage are you going to make it.
Exactly.
And it's like Solomon. You want to split the baby.
Right.
You can't do it. But I'll tell you what, Mr. Rumsey, you were probably somewhere on the east side of Providence near Brown University sipping a cocktail. Who knows, maybe with Paul. I know you did have it. I did see a text message where you were arranging a dinner with them. So, but the reality is, we had a mayor who had been in for 2 terms, was in the first year of his 3rd term, was elected by nearly 70% of the vote. And when we initiated that recall, they said, you people are crazy, you're wasting our money, you guys are nuts, you're just contrarian.
We were vilified by everyone.
We were vilified by the world.
Yep.
And called idiots, and even the mayor said, these guys are nuts, I just got elected by 70%, I don't dare, let them go rant. And they threw every roadblock they could. We had to go to court. We had to go jump through hoops in front of the elections board. We went through everything. So in spite of the fact that the threshold may be low, there's a lot of time and effort that people, and a lot of people won't do that. But we did. And the fact is, Mr. Rumsey, that mayor that was elected by 70% of the vote, or nearly 70%, 69 something or other, was then voted out of office by 70% of the people of Fall River who voted. And we turned out over 16,000 people for a special election in the middle of December.
That's right.
And the last 2 elections, we've had 10,000 people show up. So you're going to tell me that isn't the absolute definitive definition of a democracy, and you want to make it harder for the people to speak? I don't think that is right.
Nope, it's not right. And you know what? Remember, when we started that whole process, we were a small group of people, about 15, 16 people, that's it. And then all of a sudden, we started talking. And we started talking to different places. We started talking at neighborhood meetings. We started talking at the markets. We started talking at Walmart. Everywhere we went, we made T-shirts. We were talking about with our T-shirts. All of a sudden, they were lining up on the streets in front of Government Center. Every city council meeting, every chance they got, they were lined up in front of Government Center. They were lined up in front of schools for school committee meetings. They were not going to not be heard, and they were heard.
Yeah.
And they were heard, and that's what's going to happen. The people of Fall River need to be heard, and the only way you're going to be heard is to vote. And if you don't vote, guess what? It's your fault. It's your responsibility. You got to accept the fact that you didn't vote. And when they raise your taxes, when they raise your water bill, when they start adding additional fees, when they start jacking up the rates of parking and everything else, you, in turn, did that. And you wanted it to happen.
And they can put on their Facebook page, we flipped them off again.
Yep, exactly. And, you know, this is what's going to happen, people. This is what's going to happen. And it's a very short period of time for you to get things going, because it's election season. And before you know it, it's going to be election day, primary day, and then we're going to be in big trouble. Well, this is going to be an interesting weekend, because today's going to be a beautiful day, and the rest of the weekend is going to be crappy. It's
Crappy,
going to be all
that's
rain.
right.
Yep.
Yeah, that's our bonus.
Yep, that's our bonus. Well, I want to thank you all for watching, and remember, stay safe, stay angry, and hold your politicians accountable. You try to have a great weekend, and we'll see you on Monday.